Okay, any second now. All right, we are back with more layers. Once again, I'm Seth Mariano,
I'm Jordan Smith.
and today is May 1st of 2021, and hopefully you're all doing all right. We're still in the COVID era for now,
Yeah.
but I guess there's still a good chance that things are going to clear up maybe by next Christmas.
Yeah, I think from what I understand, the CDC has started to lift some restrictions specifically for those who have been vaccinated. So I guess we're heading in the right direction.
It'll it would probably be frustrating for a lot of people to have to go through another Christmas like the last.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, but the last one, it was okay though.
What was that?
The last one was okay though.
The one before?
Yeah, the
Uh,
Christmas before.
oh yeah, 2019. Yeah, that one was spectacular for me and my family. 2020,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were all in different
that's what I
places.
meant. That's what I meant.
Oh,
2020.
wait, I'm confused.
Yeah, yeah. Like the past Christmas we just had in 2020.
You're saying that one was good?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's a different experience for everybody because most of my family lives in different places. So we had to open each other's gifts over a Zoom call, and it just was not the same.
All right. So I was looking at a website called checkiday.com the other day, and I noticed that next Friday I saw on the page for that day, some events that happened in different years on that date, which
Yep.
it would be May the 7th. So one of the events they listed was the founding of Sony in 1946, which would make it this coming Friday 75 years old.
Did they start off doing technology stuff, or what did Sony do 75 years ago? Or do you not know?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, that's perfectly fine. I don't know either. I just figured I'd ask in case you did know. But it's hard for me to process for some reason that Sony's been around for that long. I don't know why, but
Yeah, you may know them for making the Walkman, the PlayStations,
hmm
or even for making three of my personal favorite shows, if not all of them: Wheel, Jeopardy, and Cobra Kai.
Wheel as in Wheel of Fortune, or
Yes.
I didn't know they were behind those. I knew they were associated with Cobra Kai, but not the other ones.
You ever watch any of those?
I've watched Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, not so much Cobra Kai yet. I've been told it's good though.
Oh, I think it is.
And it's kind of like a follow-up series to the original Karate Kid films, from what I understand.
Yeah, yeah. So it follows the antagonist Johnny Lawrence many years later. He pretty much revives the Cobra Kai Karate Club,
Okay.
and um, slowly reconnects with Daniel LaRusso, who now has his own auto dealership, and it really is kind of a deep look into the psychology of teens these days, and how they choose to deal with the anger and resentment and whatever inside of them. And it kind of debates, at least for me, it pretty much kind of debates what's the right way, what's the wrong way.
Yep. And this was Sony that did this show.
Yeah, yeah. And I believe they also did all the movies.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I know they had something. It might have been targeted for younger audiences, but I think it was called like Sony Wonder.
Yes.
I was about to say, I remember having some VHSs that would have that at the beginning, but I didn't know if it was like something they did specifically for kids or not.
Yeah, we had at least one cassette with that logo at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I believe Sony was originally the studio that was going to make the Sonic the Hedgehog film before it eventually got transferred over to Paramount.
Do you
Because I
think that
remember
affected the how the film turned out in any way?
it might have, because I remember very early on, before I think they even started filming, uh, there was word going around that they were going to try and get a PG-13 rating, but I think it ended up just being PG. So maybe somewhere within the process of getting traded between studios, the story was rewritten a little bit.
Yeah, Mr. Coat, one of the YouTubers I watch, did a video once about how animated movies are rated these days, and that inspired one of the topics on my list, like of how should the MPAA or Motion Picture Association of America, that stands for,
Hmm.
rate their movies.
I could be wrong, but I think they used to be a little bit more lenient than they are now. Because, like, for example, the first movie that came to my mind was Disney's Hunchback. I feel like if it was released now, it might have gotten a PG-13, but I think it only has a PG at best.
Or probably would have gotten an R.
Uh, I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know. In this culture, people can be extremely sensitive.
Well, they definitely can, but I feel like if Pirates of the Caribbean can get a PG-13 rating, then Hunchback should be fine not getting an R.
Yeah. So our main topic, this may seem like a weird one because of the time of the year it is right now, but we went with what existing movies should count as Christmas movies.
Yep.
Yep.
Think of it as sort of like a Christmas in July thing, except a couple months earlier.
We just decided on this because I guess we felt it would be an easier thing to talk about for now.
Yeah, we don't always want to do complex things. So when we were looking for different subjects to talk about, Seth recommended that one. So I figured, yeah, let's do it.
You've probably heard, debates about movies like at least Die Hard, whether or
Yep.
not that counts as one. And I did some research. I went ended up going a couple or so different places,
Sure.
and I'm gonna pull this stuff up here. I um, a few websites that I did some reading on
Yeah.
to prepare for this. The first link that I have listed here is a page from the famous website Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah. And 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 so it's pretty much a guide of best Christmas films. So
Best in terms of Rotten Tomato scores or something else?
I'm not sure. It says here on the tab 63 best Christmas movies of all time.
Okay.
So, it's loading right now. So there are other films that I have have listed that weren't on any of the pages I that I visited that I just thought of. And you may not think of a lot of those as examples, um, but I thought, well, there's some Christmas connection or something associated with Christmas, at least a little bit in there. So thought it'd be interesting to discuss those as well along the way.
Yeah, I feel like if you want to have something classified as a Christmas movie, it's probably a good idea to have Christmas be some sort of factor.
Large or small.
Uh, I guess it kind of depends on how they portray it. Like it could be in there briefly, but still leave a big impact, depending on how they do it.
Yeah. Since the tab is still loading, I think I'm going to go ahead and jump into the list of examples that I pretty much thought of my on my own.
Well, if it helps, load it up for me. I don't know if you would like me to start reading them from number 63 onward, or what would you like me to do?
Or it's ready right now, so maybe I could just read the titles as go working down the page.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let's see. So there's Miracle on 34th Street.
Now, this is the 90s version.
Yep, 1994.
Yeah, for those who don't know, there was one that came out in, I want to say 78. I want to say that's the year it came out, but there was one that came out before that, is the point.
Well, there was a version before the 94 version, which I think is the more famous one with Natalie Wood, a young Natalie Wood in it.
Yep. Oh, wait, hold up. I'm looking at the synopsis. It says 1947.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
I don't know why I thought 78. Maybe I was thinking of a different film.
No problem. So, I guess most people would agree that that counts.
Considering it's, I mean, technically it starts on Thanksgiving because it has a Macy's parade, but it gets closer to Christmas as it goes. And then, of course, there's the guy who at least acts like he's Santa. Yeah, I don't think anyone would disagree that that's a Christmas movie.
Probably because Santa Claus is pretty much at the center of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the preacher's wife, which I really don't know anything about except a couple of the actors in the cast list, really.
Yep.
The Grinch, the recent movie.
The one with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. I've seen like the original cartoon one and then the one with Jim Carrey, but I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. And then, there's Love Actually. That's considered one because probably just noticed there's a bow on the poster or the image.
Yep.
And then there's that classic scene with Silent Night playing in the background, and the guy's got the cards, and he's saying what he feels in writing form on them.
All right.
Yeah, it's probably the most famous scene from that movie.
Well, that one I haven't seen, so maybe I'll come Christmas watch it for once.
Well, I've never actually seen the film, but I know that part, and there was what I think was a dumb sketch that parodied it on SNL once.
Okay.
Right. And then Home Alone. number 52.
Uh, okay, yeah, I had to scroll a little bit, but I see it.
Yeah, yeah. So technically, yeah, the setting is Christmas time, but Christmas is not. Well, it is mentioned a little here and there. Yeah. And there's a little Christmas music in it here and there, so maybe that would be a yes.
Yeah, while looking up different lists about what is a Christmas movie and what isn't, there were some debates as to whether or not Home Alone could be considered a Christmas movie, and the biggest reason I saw was that they felt like if Christmas was taken out of the story, not much would have changed.
Um,
But like the family could have gone on vacation and left him alone anyways, but it just happened to take place around that time. But I would still consider it a Christmas film, but that's just me.
yeah, probably would too. And then number 51, the Rankin and Bass Frosty the Snowman special.
Yeah, that one prominently features Christmas and Santa as it gets further into the story.
Well, it's probably natural for just about anybody to consider that to count as a Christmas thing because it's always broadcast that time of year. But and there's a couple like maybe occasional mentionings of the holiday in the script,
Yep.
but the song itself, I know, doesn't mention it. And spoiler alert, there is Santa Claus and Christmas decorations, so maybe.
I was about to say Santa Claus is in there. Uh, I know when Santa appears, by the time he does, it's like Christmas Eve. And he was
Yeah.
telling the evil magician guy, unless you do this, you won't find anything in your stocking tomorrow morning, implying that tomorrow was Christmas. So there's that. And I don't know if I can see it from here, but somewhere on our rack of DVDs in my house, we have like a compilation in one package of what's classified as Christmas classics, and Frosty is on there. So,
Is there also Santa Claus is coming to town and
yep,
Rudolph on there?
yep,
Yeah, then it's probably like a Rankin and Bass collection.
yeah, that probably makes sense.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's got probably just about everything but Rudolph's Shiny New Year.
Well, I believe it has Frosty, Frosty Returns, Rudolph, Little Drummer Boy, Santa Claus is coming to town. And I think there's at least one or two other ones, but I'm having trouble remembering what they were.
There was, there was for those of you who didn't know, there was sort of a sequel to the Frosty special, Frosty Returns,
Yep.
made by I believe the United Feature Syndicate studio that did those animated Peanuts cartoons, and um, starred John Goodman as the voice of Frosty,
Mm-hmm.
and a young Elizabeth Moss as the female protagonist.
Okay.
And I'm just saying that as a filler.
Well, sure.
So um, I I would probably say that I prefer that one over the original. This might be a politically wrong opinion, but not that the first one was unbearable or anything, but I just like Frosty Returns better, I think.
All right. I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinions and what they like, so all the more power to you.
And so then Scrooged is number 49, which I saw only once. I don't remember how much of Christmas was really like tied into the script, but
Well, I
but
mean, I'm I'm looking at the poster and it at least has what looks like Santa's coat kind of poking out of the side there.
What's coming out of the sleeve there? Looks like a skeleton hand.
I think that's what that is. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know why that would be the case, but
Yeah, that may be. Yeah, it is a retelling of a Christmas Carol.
I mean that makes sense considering the title, so yeah, maybe that's like the Ghost of Christmas Future. Who knows?
Yep. It was directed by the director of Superman the movie and the Goonies, Richard Donner.
Now, when you say Superman the movie, is this Christopher Reeves?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
one. Yeah, yeah, and also co-stars Karen Allen, who was Marion in the Indiana Jones movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm scrolling through here. Hmm.
See, there's
Hmm.
White Christmas, number 40.
Eh, too easy, I think.
I w-
It's right there. It's right there in the title. Christmas. So hmm,
well,
I don't
even
think,
then, even though it's called White Christmas, it doesn't really feature heavily until much closer to the end.
or closer to the beginning in a way, because there's the performance of the song "White Christmas" at the beginning.
Well, true,
Yeah.
but it more so focuses on the two male protagonists as they are leaving the army after the war's over and then trying to get their stage performance business off the ground.
Okay.
And then
Let's.
it doesn't really circle back around to Christmas until later.
No. So really, it's just Christmas is just, well, something. As far as you know, it's at the very beginning and very end, or something like that.
Well, yeah, it's still prominently a Christmas movie, but Christmas itself isn't heavily focused on.
Yeah. Yeah. You probably know it better than I do. I mean, I've seen it like the first like half hour of it on Netflix, and other parts of it on TV, but I don't feel like I know it that well.
Yeah, typically my family tries to watch it at least once every year around Christmas time. So, and who knows? It's a stage version, so maybe our theater group will do it one day.
Yeah, that would probably be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see him doing it.
Yeah. You think you'd maybe no, like to be one of the leads?
I mean, I would like to, but I'd be happy with however they casted me.
Yeah. Also noticed at 35 there's Batman Returns by Tim Burton.
Now, it just happens to take place at Christmas time, right? Or at least close.
I really don't know because I have not seen any bit of it at all, really.
I don't think I've ever seen it all the way through, but I know it at least is like in a cold, snowy environment for a good chunk of the time, so I wouldn't be surprised.
And then
And jumping,
Elf, Elf at 32, one of our favorites.
I was about to say, I personally love that movie. I know some people don't, but I personally love watching it.
Yeah, maybe some people think Buddy is too chipper or something, but yeah, it is. At times I've wondered, uh, is Will Ferrell making fun of something? But I just go with the flow, I guess, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think some people were just a little annoyed at Will Ferrell's performance, but I found it hilarious.
That's good. It's It's at least kind of interesting for me to look back at it every year and kind of, like kind of relive some of the gags that happen.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some moments in there that I look forward to every time. Like one of my favorite scenes is when he jumps on the couch to try to get the star on top of the tree.
Oh, and the whole tree falls down.
Yep.
Yeah,
I feel like I would do that if it didn't involve getting hurt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Beware of spoilers throughout the series, people.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Another one, probably one of my favorites. One of my favorite moments in Elf
Yep.
is when Buddy, when he has trouble getting up the escalator because he's not used to anything like that or whatever, and stretches one leg out and pretty much sounds like he snaps a bone or something.
Yeah, that might be that, or it might be just his pants stretching in ways that it probably shouldn't, because they're not meant to do splits. But from what I understand, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case, but I think they used a stunt double for that scene. And
Yeah, they would probably need one. Yeah.
yeah, I can't see Will Ferrell doing it, but if you notice when he does the split, like they show him from behind so you can't see his face, and then when they do cut to his face as he's going up, it's only from the waist up, so you can't even see his legs.
No. But you can see his reaction.
Oh yeah, you can definitely see his reaction, and it's really funny.
He's like paralyzed with something, whether it's pain or okay.
And it made me wonder what would have happened once he got to the top of the escalator.
Probably just tumbled over, fell flat on the floor or something.
Yeah, because I think they didn't even show him getting to the top. They just cut to him, I think, in the bathroom.
Right, right. They just did a wipe transition and then showed him peeking his head out from over, peeking his head over a stall in the men's room.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip over here.
Sure.
Yep. Gremlins. That's definitely one that came to mind, even as we were deciding on this topic last time after we stopped rolling.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
I've
I've
seen
only seen it once all the
I've
way
seen it
through.
I've seen it twice, and it's clearly set, mainly at least Christmas time,
Right.
and there's that another spoiler at the end. Toward the end, the girl mentions her dad um, dying in an accident coming down the chimney
Right.
in a Santa outfit. So I think I'm leaning more toward a yes.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, yeah. It's a pretty fun movie, I think.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it again at some point. It's been a little while.
Yeah. Well, what have you got at home for like TV service?
What do you mean?
Like you have Spectrum or Dish or Sling or something else?
Uh, for television, I want to say it's Spectrum, but I'm probably wrong about that. We used to have Spectrum back when it was Time Warner Cable, but they kind of gypped us a little bit. So we went over to Frontier. So that might be what we're still using at this point.
Yeah, my dad switched us out of Spectrum because I don't know. Maybe some of you out there can better afford it, but apparently like, it was too expensive for our home, so he switched us to Sling.
Yeah, they kind of can be pricey.
Yeah, I saw it last Christmas season, I think, on Sling on Demand. Gremlins.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it was better the second time around.
All right.
Yeah.
That can happen with movies. Like you might get a different impression of it when you see it again.
Or you might catch something for the first time, second time around.
Maybe, yeah. Like there's movies that I've seen tons of times, and I'll still find stuff I didn't notice before.
Yeah. So let's see. Okay. Oh, Little Women. I know there's a song at least in the musical mentioning it was several days before Christmas and this and that. So um, uh, I guess I guess there's some Christmas involved in that, but you know, I'm not sure how much of a role it really plays in the story.
Yeah, I haven't seen it myself, so unfortunately, there's not much I can say about it.
Yeah, I don't think I can either. So I'm gonna go continue on here.
Right.
Edward Scissorhands. That was one I was not expecting to see.
You know, I've seen the character a lot, but I don't think I've ever actually seen the movie.
I haven't seen the movie either. Yeah.
Although, on a little side note, I will say this simply because I find it absolutely hilarious. I went to a convention once where, at a costume contest, a group showed up dressed as a bunch of different characters that were played by Johnny Depp, which included Edward Scissorhands, Jack Sparrow. I think Sweeney Todd was one of them. But they had a little skit where Jack Sparrow throws a balloon to Edward Scissorhands and he's like, "Hey, catch."
And it popped.
Yep.
I figured it must have. Yeah. All right. What else is we got here? Here. I thought about including Jingle Jangle because I'd recently seen that one. But it
Okay.
says in the title "A Christmas Journey," so I figured, that probably wouldn't be debatable.
Yeah, probably not. I haven't seen the movie myself, but based off the title and what people have told me about this movie, I would definitely say it's a Christmas film.
What else we got here? Um, Die Hard, which I mentioned earlier.
And I'll probably bring back up a little bit later on.
Yeah. Well, hmm, this
Child
is
on
probably
Christmas, that one's obvious.
yeah. Die Hard is probably the most debated, probably because they feel like there's some Christmas themes underlying, or some people think like, well, there's not really a lot of Christmas stuff woven into it, or something like that.
Yeah, I actually have a couple lists pulled up here because I wanted
Okay.
to see both sides of the argument. And I have lists for when we talk about it later on as to why some people think it is or is not a Christmas movie.
All right. Yeah.
We're getting close to the end of the list now.
I I probably would have thought, it doesn't count, Die Hard, but then, you know, I learned that the name of that guy who wrote Silent Night is Franz Gruber, and
Mm-hmm.
the villain is named Hans Gruber. So maybe a Christmas reference woven in there.
Maybe.
Yeah. What else we got here? Let's see.
Well, there's The Nightmare Before Christmas at number 6, which is an interesting case because it kind of covers two holidays.
Christmas and Halloween. Yeah.
And technically speaking, Halloween is the primary focus, but Christmas is woven into it a little bit.
There's both the Halloween town and the Christmas town, and they kind of collide.
And because of that, people I talk to typically watch it at both holidays simply because it fits.
What else we got here? Holiday Inn, well, which was, I think, the first movie that the song White Christmas was used in, um, starring Bing Crosby.
Uh,
Number
that
three.
does. Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and that does sound right because the critics' consensus lists towards the end saying, not least because it introduced White Christmas to the world.
Yep.
So it apparently was the very first film to have that song in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And number one, and probably one of the most televised films during the Christmas season, It's a Wonderful Life. I think it's on. I think it's shown on NBC every single year now.
Is it NBC or ABC?
NBC.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was ABC. Maybe I was thinking of a different one. But I saw a lot of people have an argument for that one similar to that of Home Alone, where Christmas is involved, but it's not even that prominently featured. Really, you don't see Christmas much at all until towards the very end of the film, like the very end.
Or the third act of the movie.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's that whole like third act, Christmas Eve, even when things pretty much start to get intense, and then it kind of climaxes from there. I guess you could say.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So that was all of that list.
Hmm.
What was one that you had?
Well, let's see. I kind of went to different websites to see what they said were the factors that would qualify a movie to be a Christmas film. And there was a website called Reel to Reel Movies,
All right.
and they listed three qualifications. The first one was saying that the film must primarily be set during the Christmas season. The vast majority of great Christmas movies have their climax on Christmas Eve, but any time in the stretch from post Thanksgiving until New Year's qualifies. The keyword here is primarily. A film that has only one scene at the holidays, such as Toy Story or several Harry Potter movies, does not meet this qualification no matter what the freeform network tries to tell you.
Probably a reference to the fact that Toy Story is. I think Freeform plays it every time they do the 25 Days of Christmas event, which is pretty much an all day all movies thing. I think they do December 1st through the 25th.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess Toy Story is on there every time. I guess.
Yeah, they have a little Christmas short, don't they?
A Toy Story short.
It doesn't Toy Story have a Christmas short somewhere that kind of takes place after Toy Story 3 because they're with the new girl now?
I know there's a special that's on during the holiday or Christmas season, the Toy Story that time forgot, and technically, technically it's set like right after Christmas, but it's always on during the Christmas season, and well, it's a few of the toys and some new toys the owner Bonnie's cousin got for Christmas apparently.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of my favorite things to watch Christmas time. The time forgot.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? You kind of cut out for a second.
Yeah. And the Toy Story at the time got one of my favorites to watch this time.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, the second thing they said was that the film must include traditional Christmas figures in a prominent role. These figures include, but are not limited to, Jesus Christ, Santa Claus, Rudolph, and Frosty.
So
Uh,
one or more of them.
well, yeah, it definitely at least one. It doesn't have to be just one, but as long as at least one prominent Christmas figure is in there. The figure does not necessarily have to be the protagonist to qualify, but they must feature in a large way. For example, for the example that they give, they said in Ernest Saves Christmas, Santa is a supporting character, whereas in Christmas Eve on Sesame Street, he never appears on screen, but as a story is about Big Bird's quest to discover how Santa enters a home with no chimney, it still technically meets the requirement.
Okay.
And upon their original release, neither the Grinch nor Jack Skellington would have been considered traditional, quote unquote, Christmas characters, but nobody would dispute their status today.
Okay.
Then the last qualification they said was that the film must feature one of the traditional Christmas themes, such as love, hope, generosity, faith, redemption, family, or even fear. And they kind of reference the lyric Scary Ghost Stories, saying that it wasn't just a throwaway. And they were saying before Halloween grew into the holiday it is, scary stories were a Christmas tradition. And it's no coincidence that the most retold Christmas story of all time is about four ghosts trying to scare a miser straight.
A Christmas Carol.
Yeah. And then they did proceed to list off some movies that qualify, but we kind of went through some of them with the Rotten Tomatoes thing.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking just a moment ago about the. They said that if Jesus is in there, it counts. And as a Christian, I think I
Well,
would have to. I think as a Christian, I think I would have to agree with that.
yeah, I definitely would too, primarily due to the fact that when they typically think of Jesus' birth, they typically talk about it being set around Christmas time. Like the first Christmas was when he was born, but yeah, that's the main reason why I would say so.
I would count, a film like the animated film The Star or the movie The Nativity Story, though I haven't seen either of them.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Nativity Story, but I have at least heard of it. And considering most nativity scenes, if not all of them, are pretty much the setting of Jesus' birth, I would assume that it would somehow be a Christmas film.
Yeah, I had another link you probably noticed I put from yardbarker.com. Um, it was a list of Christmas movies that they say aren't technically Christmas movies. One of
Okay.
them is You've Got Mail, starring Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks.
I haven't
And
seen
there's
that
an
one.
yeah, me neither. There's an explanation on the page uh, of I guess that answers the question: is it or not? Yeah,
Okay,
it's lengthy. I don't really want to go into the details.
that's fine.
Yeah, yeah, but well, if you want, I can. If you people want, you can look it up and read it for yourself on your own time.
I was about to say, if we just leave links in the description of our YouTube/video version, then they'll be able to access it pretty quickly.
Okay, and then there's Babe, which is something I thought of before I even saw this link, actually, because I do remember a Christmas Eve scene in there somewhere. Uh, but from what I remember, there's not much Christmas associations in the film. Really. Yeah, yeah. So I would say maybe not, or it could be kind of good for Christmas.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. What else is on here? Let's see. Sound of Music. That one's on ABC like every Christmas season, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's actually an article I found from Distractify.com
Okay.
that that explains why is The Sound of Music a Christmas movie.
Well, I think they feature Christmas in the film at some point, don't they? Maybe not heavily, but
Maybe a little bit. I haven't really actually watched it. I mean, I've seen like maybe snippets of it.
I've seen it a few times. I could have sworn that it was featured at some point, but I'd have to look again just to be certain.
According to this article, it has a lot to do with history and how well it basically it says that at home entertainment, it was all pretty much live TV back in the day, and the most common time that people would be together in a living room or whatever was Christmas time, and so networks would pretty much accommodate that and air movies that were family friendly.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I guess that's kind of what started this tradition.
Huh.
That reminds me of. You notice how every Thanksgiving Day the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys have games on Thanksgiving?
I know the Cowboys did. I didn't know the Lions did too.
Yeah, well, it goes back to like decades ago. It was started as a sort of like the story goes that the teams were looking for ways to get more fans or more attention at the games, and so they decided to play on Thanksgiving, and they've done that every year since.
I always wondered why, at least the Cowboys and now the Lions specifically, like why they would do that. But I personally had not known until you just said it. So that's news to me.
Yeah, I believe it was the Lions who did it first, and then the
Okay.
Cowboys are either followed suit or came up with a similar idea or
Okay.
something. Okay, so I think that was probably all the links that I had.
Okay.
Well, no, well, for lists of movies, really.
Sure.
Uh, I thought of some other examples of debatable or whatever titles on my own. One
Sure.
of them, one of them was Disney's Lady and the Tramp because there's Christmas stuff at the beginning and the end of
Yep.
it. Lady is giving us a Christmas gift, and then there's the Christmas scene at the end, and then at the start and the finish, there's that song with "Peace, My Children," la 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 la. You know,
Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, if one of the main characters is a Christmas gift, then it's hard to say it's not a Christmas film. At least that's how I see it.
well, I don't know, because like everything in the middle is like set in the warm season, I believe, or most of
Uh,
it.
I I think so.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. No, no. You hear a lot of talk about Die Hard and whether or not it's an example. What about Die Hard 2?
I mean, I haven't seen that one either, so I'm not entirely certain on that one.
Well, I know, spoiler alert, there's at least the using of Let It Snow at the end again.
They did that in the first movie too.
Both.
Oh,
Then there's one that's not as popular and probably a lot more panned. Baby Geniuses from Sony's TriStar Pictures.
I don't know if I've even heard of that one. What is that?
It's a live action movie with talking babies. So well, I saw one critic described it as like a live action Rugrats,
Okay.
and yeah, it's complicated to explain, so I won't bother. I'll let everybody just research it.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's some at least like a couple or so scenes with Christmas stuff, Christmas setting.
Yeah.
So I thought, hmm, so I kind of thought maybe that one.
All right.
And then Charlotte's Web. I guess at least the live action one, maybe the animated one too. I don't know if the animated one or mentions Christmas. I know there's talk in the story either way about Wilbur or possibly getting killed for Christmas dinner. So
Interesting. I'd have to look back at that again because I know I've read the book and I want to say I saw the animated film a while back, but it's been a long time now that I think about it.
the Nutcracker. Well, they probably orally mention Christmas in that one. Maybe there's a Christmas time setting.
Right.
But I'm not sure of it.
And I know they play at least a couple songs from the Nutcracker on the radio during Christmas time, so
And one of them is used in Elf too.
which one is that?
The montage sort of scene where Buddy is decorating in the department store.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did think about which scene it was, but now I got it.
yeah, yeah. Snow Day, which I don't think was as well received. Nickelodeon film.
Okay.
Maybe just because of snow. Maybe that. I don't know if anyone would say it is or even care.
Hmm.
Unaccompanied minors, which I saw advertised, I think, during a Christmas season, and I think they used a little Nutcracker piece in the promo. I wasn't sure though, if that counted. I looked at the page on IMDb. I watched the trailer they had on there, and probably partly because they have the Brian Setzer Jingle Bells in there, and because of the mentioning of Christmas, at least in the written synopsis, I think I decided, yeah, that counts.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I had the star, the nativity story. I already mentioned those, so there.
All right. Now I think I mentioned earlier that I had a couple links up that were talking both for and against Die Hard being a Christmas film.
Okay.
And Screen Rant, which I believe both has a website and a YouTube channel, they
Yeah, I think
listed,
though. I think they
they,
do.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. They listed reasons for both why it is and isn't. And some of the reasons they listed as to why it's not a Christmas film, one of the reasons they gave was that it was released in July, which I will kind of argue against because I believe the original Miracle on 34th Street was released in May. So I don't think,
Haven't you?
hmm?
Go ahead.
So I'd say I don't think when it's released should really be a factor as to when it's a Christmas, as to whether or not it's a Christmas film.
Either way, haven't you people heard of Christmas in July?
Yeah, I mean, I think we used that towards the beginning of this episode today. Um, see, they also said that it's wouldn't be a Christmas movie because it's too violent, but I am willing to bet that there are plenty of Christmas horror movies out there. I think one example would be Krampus, that are both scary and violent. So, other than those two factors, they would also be Christmas films. So, that's one other argument against it. And then they also said that it doesn't feature Santa, but there's other Christmas films that don't really feature Santa. And the examples that came to my mind were at least the first couple of renditions of The Grinch, because again, I hadn't seen the one with Cumberbatch yet. The animated one, I don't think featured Santa himself at all.
Though he did wear a Santa suit.
He did wear a Santa suit, but Santa himself wasn't in it. And then in the Jim Carrey version, he was only, and I'm talking about Santa here, he was only on camera for about 3 seconds out of the whole film. Because in that version of Jim Carrey's Grinch, he was still on the mountain a little bit and he had binoculars and he watched as Santa left a rooftop. And that was really the only time you saw him. And yet that's still a Christmas film. Let's see.
Yeah, I like the animated Grinch.
Oh, yeah, that's always going to be a classic, no doubt.
Yeah. So you had some more?
Yeah. There was also a list that somebody had on the sun.co.uk that has 6 reasons as to why Die Hard is a Christmas film. Pulling
Yep.
it up now. And
So
the first. Hmm?
yeah, it's just filling the time.
Okay. The first reason they gave was that it was set at Christmas Eve. And as they put it, Die Hard takes place on Christmas Eve as NYPD officer John McClane heads to the Christmas party of the Nakatomi Corporation, where he hopes to reconnect with his estranged wife, Holly, the perfect name for a Christmas movie. Christmas trees, lights, and Santas feature heavily, and like all good Christmas films, it's got a happy ending when John and Holly are reunited in time for Christmas. They also say that the film has Christmas music, and a couple of examples they gave were Let It Snow, Winter Wonderland, and Ode to Joy. Now, I have not seen the film, but they're saying it had a few Christmas references in there. Like when they are talking, they might mention Christmas or make references to it. And apparently, the screenwriter Steven Souza, not sure how to pronounce that last name, but he weighed in on a debate on Twitter to confirm that it is a Christmas film, and he wrote, as they put it, "How could it not be a Christmas movie?"
I guess if the writer
Uh,
says it is, then it is.
yeah, I think Bruce Willis, though, who starred in the film, he was supposedly saying that it wasn't, though at the time they were wondering if he was just joking around. Uh, they said that it's all about family, which is a common theme for Christmas films. Like they're saying at the beginning of the film, John and Holly are separated, but after fighting back against terrorists and living to tell the tale, the pair are reunited at the end of the film, which is, as they put it, a Christmas miracle. And the final reason they gave was Hans Gruber, they believe, is the perfect Christmas villain. And they said Hans Gruber, played by Alan Rickman, is the German mastermind in charge of the terrorists who are attacking the Nakatomi building. Much like the Grinch or Scrooge, his efforts to ruin Christmas fail miserably. So he, from what they're saying, does sound like he could be a Christmas villain. So when I was doing a bit of research as to why people were saying it was or wasn't a Christmas film, a lot, or at least a few of the reasons why they said it wasn't, I was able to kind of rebuttal a little bit. So at this point, I'm kind of leaning towards Die Hard being able to be considered a Christmas film, though I guess I could still kind of see why some people say that wouldn't. But me personally, I will say for now that it is.
I think you could probably say there are certain movies that are so explicitly Christmas that would only work for that season, and then there are some with a little bit or so of Christmas woven into them that can easily work though for any time of year.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Then the last kind of thing I thought about when thinking of Christmas movies was the ever so expansive library of Hallmark Christmas movies. I don't know if you've seen a lot of those, but there's a few.
I've seen probably I don't know, maybe two or three. Probably because of my mom. She's into Hallmark and Lifetime.
Makes sense. But the reason I kind of thought about it is that I know that there's so many of these films that Hallmark has made that people have made like lists of the most common tropes and even drinking games for these films because a lot of them kind of follow a similar template. And I even have another link from Screen Rant that listed some of the most common tropes Hallmark Christmas movies have used. And one of the top ones that they listed was how, excuse me, the boyfriend is secretly a prince. And what they said was, honestly, it's not Christmas until you're watching the story of a girl who meets a guy with a cute accent, impeccable manners, and a mysteriously powerful family whose surprise is really a prince. If there's one plot Hallmark uses more than any other, it's the secret prince, as they call it. This story also works when the boyfriend turns out to be Santa's son, which personally I haven't seen any examples of, but I'm sure there's examples of it. His parents are usually played by familiar 80s or 90s TV stars. Keep an eye out next time you head to the coffee shop because that guy you bump into might be royalty.
I think I saw a little bit of a Hallmark thing with Linda Hamilton, who plays Sarah Connor in the Terminator films.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Hallmark. I'm not totally sure.
It's entirely possible, but there's so many different ones out there that are, like I was saying, very similar that I probably wouldn't be able to pinpoint it right away.
Yeah, I know Lacey Chabert has done a lot of Hallmark stuff. She was on Party of Five, was the voice of Eliza
Hmm.
Thornberry.
Okay.
I think she does pretty good.
All right, I'll have to check that out then.
Yeah.
And the closing statement I had, at least in my notes, was that really in the end, I think it just depends on the person and what they think a Christmas movie is and what it isn't. If you call something a Christmas movie simply because you always watch it around Christmas time, all the more power to you. And watch what you want to watch at Christmas, and don't let someone else's criteria for a Christmas movie stop you from enjoying your own holiday movie traditions.
Sounds fair enough.
Yeah. So there's movies that I might not think is a Christmas movie, or I do think, and somebody else will think the opposite, but I'm not gonna like force my opinion down their throat until they change their mind.
And there are probably some movies I don't think of as very Christmas-y, but have a little Christmas in there that could make it work for that time of year or
Yeah.
any other time.
Really, I would figure that any movie that features even snow will be classified by somebody as a Christmas film.
Like the aforementioned Snow Day.
Yeah, sure.
Or probably Not the Day After Tomorrow. You know that one?
Not offhand.
Dennis Quaid, Jake Gyllenhaal. It's a weather disaster movie.
Okay.
And so, spoiler alert, the whole northern hemisphere or northern hemisphere pretty much gets frozen over.
Is that the movie that had a poster that showed most of the Statue of Liberty underwater? Or like only its head was coming out of the water?
I don't remember seeing that. I don't know. I don't know if you're thinking of Cloverfield or I haven't seen that one either. But Cloverfield, I've seen the poster with the ruined Statue of Liberty in there. Maybe.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of, because I'm pretty sure there was at least one poster out there that I saw of a disaster film where most of the Statue of Liberty was submerged in water.
Yeah, maybe it fell through ice or something. I don't remember seeing it.
All right, I'll have to look into it, see if I can find it later. No big deal.
Yeah, no stress.
Nah.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us. You can find us on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, and Facebook. And you can probably find a new episode again next week. Until then, we're out.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or even if you want to be a guest on the show at some point, please let us know in the comments or some other form of contact. And we honestly really hope to hear from you.
By email, by Facebook message.
Yep.
Contact us by one of those ways. And thanks again, and we'll see you.
Take care, everybody.